I pulled 3 tarot cards for some insight into what's going on at the border and with the whole deportation phenomenon currently occurring right now. Because if you're not aware, it is pretty important to pay attention to. It's going to be affecting a lot of lives, and it's going to completely change this country and Mexico at the same time, and all the other countries that people have been sending us up here. So the first card, 3 of Wands, fire card. Wands symbolize action, movement, energy. There's a lot of energy involved here. But right now, because it's reversed, one of the things that I want to talk about, because it's in the past position, is that this whole fucking fiasco that's happening right now with the amount of undocumented individuals in this country is because of the terrible mismanagement of our country, basically. It was being actively ran into the dirt. And it's still to be said whether or not we pass the point of no return and are just going to continue the decline down into the dirt. But that is what this card is saying here, is that the previous administrations really fucked everything up. And that's what allowed all this to happen. And so it sucks because a lot of people's lives are going to get fucked up as a result of this. The 10 of Cups, which is what's happening presently, is that these families are being ripped apart. Parents, children are being separated, or they're just being uprooted from where they are and sent back down to Mexico. But that's not necessarily, these people aren't just victims. They're not, you know, they share some responsibility for this. They knew what they were doing. They knew that they were coming into the country illegally. And so when they get ripped away and people get really upset about it, yes, it sucks. I am a human, and that really would fucking suck. But it's also their responsibility and partially their fault, because they came here knowing that this could happen one day. You got to be real with this. They knew that this could happen one day. It's just that they were all so fucking naive or ignorant, or I don't even know. They just thought it could never happen. But it is currently happening, and it's going to continue to happen, and it's only going to ramp up. It's only going to get crazier. And this general sense of displeasure and unhappiness, especially amongst families and kind of collectives as a whole, is only going to get worse. It's like we're ripping the Band-Aid off finally after it had been there for a really long time, and it's going to hurt really bad. This is also indicating there's going to be some significant resistance to it coming up. We've already started to see that. Well, it's to be said how far it's going to go, but it's going to get pretty intense in some spots, especially down at the border where they are already shooting at each other, in case you haven't been paying attention. But lastly, but not least, is the future here. We have the 4 of Wands. The 4 of Wands here represents success. In essence, it represents that this, as far as America is concerned, this is a net positive thing. When you kind of look at it from a callous perspective, the country will benefit as a result. And the efforts to deportate all of these people who, in a sense, act like kind of like leeches in more ways than one. And I'm trying not to dehumanize them too much, but like that's just the best analogy I can come up with right now, is that they are like leeches. They come here. They probably don't pay any of the taxes. They probably get paid under the counter. And I know this because I grew up in an area with lots of Mexicans. And I would dare say when I was a kid, there was probably like 10% Mexicans here. And now it's probably over 50%. And I've worked with them. I've worked in warehouses. I've done manual labor. I've done concrete. I've worked with these people. And they're just getting paid out underneath the table. No taxes involved there. And then what they do, a lot of them, because I talked to them and this is what they told me they did, they sent it back to Mexico. So there's literally like tens of millions of people up here that are just sucking the energy out of this country and siphoning it to somewhere else. And I've already talking to people, and I don't know if this is 100% true or not, but people are talking about how parking lots are being emptied from like factories and businesses because all the illegals are disappearing because they don't want to get shucked down back down to Mexico that's not on their own terms. I think that it's going to take a few years, obviously, because there's probably close to 100 million people in this country that aren't supposed to be here, because it's impossible to keep track of all of them. But just over the past few years, it's just been millions and millions of people. But this is what is best for America and Americans. 100%. It's just that there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering involved in the process of this, and it's going to take years to fulfill. Probably more than 4 years. We'll see what will happen. But buckle up, because it's only going to get more intense. And depending on where you live, things might drastically change, like dramatically change, depending on the efforts and whether or not the state decides to resist the government. It's hard to say, but it is happening. It doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. It's going to suck for a lot of people, but when it's all over, things are going to be better for America. As for Mexico, I don't know. I feel like Mexico needs to figure out its problems, its issues, why people want to leave Mexico. That's for Mexicans to decide with their government, and that shouldn't be our problem. But that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think down below. I'd like to hear what you think about all this. And if you hated what I said, I would love to hear why you hated what I said. And otherwise, like this video, dislike this video, and subscribe if you want to hear more. I'll talk to you guys later.